Hello everybody and welcome to Butterfly Soul Tarot. It's Rose here with your weekly messages for Monday the 26th of March through to Sunday the 1st of April 2018. As always, I hope you're all well. Happy spring to everyone. So I don't know, obviously some of you would have celebrated the equinox, which I always see as the 21st of March. It's certainly a lovely day here in Cornwall. Spring has definitely sprung, so that's great. So I hope you're all kind of feeling that energy of spring and getting the urge to walk forward and put new things into action. Just before I start, I'm very aware that this week, astrology wise, there is a lot of Aries energy about, and we've got I think it's 31st of March, we've got the full moon in Aries, Mercury, which at the moment is in retrograde as well, which can affect certain aspects of things, that is also in Aries this week. And Venus is in Aries as well. So I just wanted to make a note of that before I started the reading. Aries can be it's a fire sign. It can be very spontaneous in its action. I tend to find that Aries energy doesn't hold back with what it wants to say. So just, there may be that sort of fiery energy of almost just going for it this week, or not holding back when we communicate. There may be a temptation to just kind of say what's exactly on our minds. So I just wanted to put that out there before I began. So I will move on to the spread. So the first card, and this is in the spiritual element this week, is the Lovers. And the first feeling that I get with that is balance of male and female energy. The Lovers can be about choices, but because it's in the spiritual element of the reading, I'm getting more of that sense. And what I find interesting with this card is that in a lot of decks, the female is actually looking up towards the angel or the being in the sky, and the male is often looking away. So I kind of get this balance between spirit and earth. So it feels like spiritually we might be walking that path in between quite well this week in some respects. So in a spiritual or energetic regard, and as I'm speaking, I'm actually seeing our 7 main chakras as well, and these being balanced. So if we're feeling a little bit out of balance in that regard, it might be a call, if we're feeling a bit of out of sorts in some way, it might be a call to get balance. And also I'm now being given an image of nature as well, and I'm getting so many messages for myself personally at the moment to go out walking in nature as well, to kind of help maintain my balance. Of course, we haven't had the weather for it. I've been out a little bit in the snow, but I've been waiting for the nicer weather to actually really get out in nature. So that's that kind of earth element with the male. So we're either, I think, concerned with balancing those energies this week, or some of us might actually be feeling that we're actually quite nicely balanced on the energy front. The second card for this week, as always, is the fire element. So this is about where our energy might be, where our growth might be, our passion. Where is our energy? Now, because, as I mentioned earlier, we've got a lot of Aries fire energy going on this week and at the moment, what we might find is that some of us might feel like we're champing at the bit, in particular to get things going. We've got the Page of Pentacles here, and often his message can be about making practical starts, on an earthly level. He's an earth card, he's a pentacle, so it can be about making practical starts. So what I did feel, the impression when I did the review of the spread before I started, was that it's slow, it might be slow instead of go in terms of our energy. So we might be feeling this certain element of wanting to get on and do this week, but also it might be that things are I almost want to say forcing our hand to slow down, or we might want to get on with one thing and something else crops up. I feel there's an essence here of kind of taking it slowly rather than leaping in, or wanting to leap in but almost being forced to take things slowly. I'm also going to note that pages can be about children and youth, and this can also be about our inner child. So there may be something that where our energy's at, it might be invoked either by a child around us or our own inner little one. You know, sometimes when we're really little and time seems to go dreadfully slowly and an hour goes by and it feels like 3 and things like that. So it again, it might be that our perceptions are that everything is going slower when it's not. You know, I'm just getting, you know, when I've turned these cards out, I'm getting almost a kind of a funny, almost confusing energy this week. I don't think we're going to be confused by it, but you might not be able to pin things down. Things might not be as black and white as they usually are. They might not be as clear as they usually are, and that's the feeling I get from this reading. Oh, wrong card there. So the next one is the air element, which is our mind. And again, we had this a few weeks ago. We've got the devil there again. The devil and the lovers are actually connected if you look. So again, it's almost like, to start off with, this feeling of opposing forces. Maybe we need to get our mind, our body and our spirit all in balance, all functioning as one. So that might be the balance element. One message I get with this card, one element of the devil can be about what's going on in our subconscious. And really, I've said it many times before, but he's really our friend, because whenever he turns up in a reading, he's saying to us, switch the light on. There's something you might be doing habitually over and over again, and I'm here to tell you that that's what you're doing, because when it's in the subconscious, we don't recognize that it's in the subconscious. I get a message with him this week as well, to not judge a book by its cover. So again, bearing in mind the Aries energy, the potential we might feel like jumping in. What I feel with him this week is, if we're presented with something or we get part of a story with something, I feel there's a message to not take things at face value with him this week, and to maybe, before we perhaps respond or react, to maybe dig a little bit deeper, to see a bit more of actually what's going on. So you know, he can be when we're kind of going into the underworld and into the darkness, and we are presented with all kinds of illusions of fear, you know, and things like that. So I feel there's a message here to not assume that we have all the facts, or to not judge a book by its cover, or to not act without looking a little bit deeper, to not assume that we know the whole story by certain facts that we're being given. And I say facts because this is about our logic, this is about our mind. So that's the sense that I get with him this week. Next element is the water element, which is, it can be about our emotions, our intuition, anything like that. This card, for me, it might tie in with this one a little bit as well, if we're going kind of harking back to our inner little ones, because this card to me can be about nostalgia, and traditionally that's its meaning as well. But the impression that I got with it is that where we actually might find emotional comfort this week is by either tapping into things or being reminded of things, maybe from our childhood or good times from when we were younger. So while I would often say with this card, don't dwell in the past, what I do actually get with it is a lovely sense of comfort, a positive sense from nostalgia. We might be clearing out a cupboard and find a game that we loved when we were a kid, and maybe we'll start playing that with our own children, you know, and things like this. But it's like tapping into the nostalgia brings us comfort this week. This can also be a card of gift giving, and kindness. So there may be people around you that are displaying kindness, or you may be doing others a favour by displaying kindness to them. So I get quite a positive feeling. I get sort of like almost like a warm fuzzy feeling around the emotional area, and whatever's going on here, or where we're trying to maintain balance, or if we're getting frustrated here, I feel like we actually find that comfort. And for some reason the image that keeps coming up to me is Ready Brek. You know, when they used to talk about that glow in the old adverts for Ready Brek. So I'm getting quite a nice fuzzy feeling emotionally this week. Okay, and then moving on to the earth element, and we have the card of Justice. Now, again, I feel like I want to pair it with this one. Now, it's interesting because this is an earth card in the air element, and this is an air element card in the earth element. So it's almost like they've been swapped over in the reading. Justice, so bear in mind the earth part of this reading is about the practicality, the finances, the home, whatever, you know, the earthly things that need doing. And the feeling that I get, so part of this energy can be about thinking logically, weighing things up, thinking about our next steps, balancing things up. I also got a sense that on the earth plane, physically, we might be seeing justice somewhere. So if some of us feel like we've been being treated unfairly, we might actually get a physical notification that possibly justice is being served, fairness is being served. And I wondered if there was also something that was going on globally this week as well, where we can see somebody or something maybe in the global arena getting, I'm going to say, the justice that they deserve, something like that, or, you know, just kind of something being righted that has been wronged. So I'm just wondering something like that is going to happen as well. I do want to tie it in with this a little bit as well, because what I get, another message I get with this is the karma message that we can get with justice, and what goes around comes around. So where I've said in this card, don't judge a book by its cover, perhaps do a little bit of investigating first, I feel with this one it's to be mindful of what we put out we receive. So again, it's that mindfulness to maybe not to think before we act, or to think before we speak. So again, it's this one. I think this is why we're being forced into a slower energy here, because something is trying to stop us almost from making a mistake, if that makes sense, or I feel putting something out there that may affect us longer term later on. So I feel that's a little bit of this card as well. So it feels like it's a very funny energy this week. It feels like it's we might not be able to quite put our finger on where the energy is this week, you know. So I'm just going to leave it at that, because I'm even struggling to find a phrase for it. So the overview card this week, it's another page. It's a cup this time. So again, cups can be of the heart, cups can be emotional. And when I turn over this card, I do get a kind of a lighter feeling than I do from this one. So this one was maybe slowing us down, slowing our energy down, but just trusting that that's happening for a reason. And it's almost like I'm getting with this card. But while all this is happening, while we might have to think about our balance, try to look before we leap, be mindful of what we're putting out there, at the same time, I feel there's a message in this one to try and keep our hearts light, and to maybe try not to get bogged down in it all, or take everything quite so seriously. I feel like there's a lightness with this card. So again, this can represent children around us, our inner child, our lightness, I do want to say spontaneity, even though it's not a wand, but I do want to say that as well. Very much, you know, obviously this card is by the water, by the sea, And I just there in my third eye, I was taken actually right to a beach as well. So there's that kind of that nature message as well about balance, bringing in the nostalgia maybe of when we were children. So I'm feeling like the way to work with the energy this week is to connect with either the nostalgic feelings or certain things that just kind of help us feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. And as I say, the energy of this spread feels quite, I don't know if scattered is the right word, but it's difficult to just piece it all together. So yeah, interesting energy I think this week, and we will just see where we go with that. So I do hope it makes some kind of sense to you. It's been a pleasure as always, and yeah, any comments, likes, shares would be appreciated, but any comments about the reading this week, I would love to hear from you. And I'm also open to discussing you know, what's happening for you personally. So if you would like to send me a private message on my Facebook page, Butterfly Soul Tarot, and I'll maybe able to link in a little bit more about what is happening for you as well. So it's always a pleasure to do that. Okay, so I hope that's okay for you this week. Thank you all of you for watching, liking, supporting everything you do, and I will see you next time. Lots of love. God bless.